You ever meet someone so entitled you start wondering if they're actually living in the same universe as the rest of us? I mean, not just your everyday annoying neighbor type, but the kind of person who acts like the entire block was built for their personal convenience. That's Karen. And this isn't just another HOA headache. This is the story of how she set her sights on my pride and joy. My Harley Davidson. Now, my Harley isn't just a bike to me. I've worked 2 jobs, saved for years, skipped vacations, and even lived on ramen noodles just to make it happen. Every bolt, every chrome detail, every single mile, it's mine because I earned it. This bike is the one thing I never compromise on. It was a quiet Saturday morning. The kind where you can hear the faint hum of lawn mowers in the distance and smell someone grilling breakfast bacon a few houses down. I was in my garage, polishing the tank of my Harley, appreciating how the sunlight caught the shine just right. That's when I saw her, Karen. She strutted down the street like she owned it, HOA clipboard tucked under her arm like it was a royal decree. Her perfectly stiff haircut didn't move an inch, even in the breeze. I was hoping she'd just keep walking, but no. She turned right into my driveway. Without a single hello, she points at my Harley and says, "That is perfect for my son's birthday." I gave a confused chuckle. "Excuse me?" "You know," she said, tilting her head like I was the one missing something obvious. "He's been wanting a Harley for ages. This one's just sitting here and, well, you've had it long enough. It's not fair for you to keep it when someone else could really appreciate it." I thought she was joking. I really did. But her face didn't crack, not even a smirk. "Karen," I said, still half laughing, "this bike isn't for sale." "Oh, I'm not saying buy it," she replied casually. "I'm saying gift it. You'd be doing a wonderful thing. And besides, HOA policy states certain vehicles can't be stored in plain view. I'd hate to have to write you up." I stopped polishing. "There's no HOA rule about motorcycles in driveways." Her lips curled into a smug little smile. "Not yet." And that's when it hit me. She was threatening to push through a new HOA rule just to strong-arm me into giving her my bike. "Karen," I said flatly, "it's not happening." She gave a short fake laugh and muttered, "We'll see about that," before turning and marching off. The rest of the day I brushed it off. Surely she wouldn't actually try something that ridiculous, right? Wrong. The very next morning, I was tightening the chain on my Harley when I heard the unmistakable sound of tires crunching against my driveway gravel. I looked up, and there they were, 2 police cruisers. 2 officers stepped out, one of them already pulling a small notepad from his pocket. "Sir," the first one began, "we've had a report of a stolen motorcycle matching this description." I blinked. "Come again?" They explained that someone, though they didn't say who, had called in, claiming this Harley had been stolen and was now sitting here in my driveway. I glanced past them, and there she was, Karen. Standing on the sidewalk with her arms crossed, that self-satisfied smirk plastered across her face like she'd already won. "Gentlemen," I said calmly, "this bike is mine. I can get the paperwork right now." The younger officer asked if I had proof of ownership. Oh, did I? Registration, title, insurance. Everything was in perfect order. I even pointed out the VIN number on the frame, which matched exactly with my documents. The second officer went back to his cruiser, ran the VIN through their system, and came back shaking his head. "It's registered to you all right. Has been for 3 years. I could feel Karen's confidence cracking from where I stood. But instead of backing down, she tried doubling down. "I thought it was my son's bike," she said loudly, like that somehow excused the mess she'd created. "It looks exactly like the one he had before it was stolen. Must be an honest mistake." One of the officers looked at her with a mix of disbelief and annoyance. "Ma'am, you reported this as stolen. That's not a mistake. That's filing a false police report." Her cheeks flushed red. She mumbled something about trying to protect her son and started to walk away. But I knew this wasn't over. Here's the thing about me. I have friends in places that matter. And one of those friends? The state attorney. We'd worked together on community safety programs for years, and I knew exactly who to call. I dialed the number right there in front of the officers. "Hey, I've got a situation involving a false police report and some HOA harassment," I said into the phone. "Think you can help?" Let's just say the answer was yes. What Karen didn't realize was that this little stunt of hers had just crossed over from petty HOA nonsense into the realm of criminal consequences, and now she was going to get the full experience of what happens when you try to take what isn't yours, especially from someone who isn't afraid to fight back. And trust me, the fight was just getting started. If Karen thought calling the cops on me was going to scare me, she was about to find out just how wrong she was. The morning after the police visit, I got a call from the state attorney's office. My friend Alan, someone who didn't just know the law, but wrote half the enforcement policies in our county, was already on it. He'd taken my call personally and said, "Don't worry, we'll handle this, but I have a feeling this isn't the first time she's pulled something like this." And he was right. Turns out Karen had a reputation, one that stretched far beyond just my driveway. The HOA office had been quietly keeping files on her incidents, but no one ever challenged her because she was, well, loud. Loud enough to scare off most folks before they even thought about pushing back. She had weaponized the HOA rulebook like it was her personal sword, using vague policies to bully people into doing what she wanted. But now, thanks to her false police report, the state attorney had cause to dig deeper. And when I say dig deeper, I mean they went deep. That Monday, 2 investigators visited me at home. They wanted my side of the story in full detail. What happened with the bike, my past run-ins with her, even if I'd seen her snooping around before. They took notes like they were preparing for trial because, in a way, they were. Over the next week, word began to spread around the neighborhood. People who'd been quiet before suddenly started talking. An elderly couple down the street said Karen had fined them $200 for having their American flag too close to the sidewalk. A young single mom said Karen threatened to report her for running an illegal business just because she babysat kids after school. One guy even claimed Karen had trespassed onto his property to measure his grass with a ruler. No exaggeration. It was like a dam had broken. Years of resentment and quiet frustration came flooding out. Then the hammer really dropped. The state attorney's investigators subpoenaed the HOA's financial records. And oh, did they find gold? There were maintenance expenses billed to the HOA that didn't exist. Landscaping services that had never been performed. And the kicker? A series of administrative stipends paid directly to Karen, amounting to several $1,000s over the past 2 years. This wasn't just abuse of power. This was fraud. About 3 weeks later, I was sipping coffee on my porch when I saw the unthinkable. 2 black SUVs rolling into the neighborhood. They parked right in front of Karen's house. Out stepped a team of investigators, clipboards in hand, badges flashing in the sunlight. And like clockwork, the entire neighborhood found reasons to be outside. One guy was washing his already clean car. Mrs. Henderson from 2 houses over was suddenly very interested in watering her plants at 9 a.m. in pajamas. Even the joggers slowed down to a suspicious walking pace. Karen opened the door with her signature air of superiority, and then froze when she saw the badges. "Mrs. Johnson?" one investigator asked. "We have a search warrant for your home and HOA office files," she stammered. "On what grounds?" "Multiple counts of suspected fraud and misuse of HOA funds," the investigator replied calmly. Also, we need to discuss a false police report made on date regarding a motorcycle belonging to Mr. Daniels. Karen's face went pale. She tried to argue, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. But the investigators were already walking past her into the house. From where I sat on my porch, I could see them carrying out boxes of paperwork, her laptop, and even her phone. The smirk she'd worn that day at my driveway, gone. Later that week, the HOA board held an emergency meeting. I didn't even have to attend. Half the neighborhood showed up with stories and complaints. The board voted unanimously to remove her from her position as HOA president, effective immediately. She was barred from ever holding an HOA role again. But the state attorney wasn't done. A month later, Karen was officially charged with filing a false police report, fraud, and misappropriation of funds. She took a plea deal, probation, community service, and a hefty fine that pretty much drained whatever she'd taken from the HOA. The best part? As part of the settlement, she had to send a written apology to every single resident in the neighborhood. And let me tell you, reading that letter, full of awkward, forced sincerity, was pure comedy. As for my Harley, oh, it's still in my driveway, polished and shining. Every now and then I'll fire it up and let the engine roar a little louder than necessary. It's not just about the ride anymore. It's a reminder that sometimes standing your ground pays off in more ways than one. Karen, well, she's still around. But these days, she keeps her head down. No more marching into driveways, no more clipboards, and definitely no more demands for my bike. In fact, I think the only time she looks in my direction now is when she quickly walks the other way. And her son, he didn't get a Harley for his birthday, but maybe he got a better gift, a front row seat to learn what happens when you try to take what doesn't belong to you. And the law decides to get involved. Some people think power comes from rules and threats. But real power? It comes from knowing the rules better than they do, and having the courage to fight back when someone crosses the line. And if you ask me, the sound of justice roars louder than any Harley engine ever could.